Yes, man, I'm going to move on, continue speaking about the Snyder Cut because I can't speak. I'm so excited, man, that I'm getting tongue twisted here, man. So let's try that again. I seen another article about the Snyder Cut, and it was about a very different sort of Snyder Cut to what we're now going to be consuming in the next month or so. The studio initially wanted to release this movie incomplete, as it was shot on the set sneakily by Snyder himself, and just put it out there and be done with it. They didn't want to spend money on this movie, given the visual effects, bringing the visual effects to life. They just wanted it out, man. And this is what I think it's actually one of the producers. It's Deborah Snyder. It's actually Deborah Snyder herself. She said this to say, man. And I'm going to read it off my iPad again because I am obscured with my camera. I need to do something with that. It's utterly shit. I can't read the monitor, man. It's rubbish. But this is what she's had to say. She was speaking on the Lightcast podcast, and she had a couple of little quotes. She says, when they approached us, we had to come up with an idea of what it was, because originally the studio was like, you can just put the cut out just the way it is. She went on to say, Zach said this, no, it's like a mishmash. I always say mishmash, not mosh, but hey ho, horses for courses. The music we can't use. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way, or it's not going to be the right way. And that was it, in a sense. And she's went down to say this again. There's another quote. I think this is her anyway. I can't get my mouse to work, man. What is going on here? But to figure out in secret, because we didn't know if it was going to be real, we just figured out the cost of the visual effects. We were going to do this kind of on our own, so we could put together a presentation that we could go to the studio with. And a big part of the presentation was the fans and what that represented to them. I wish it had taken them less time, because then we wouldn't be so under the gun to get it done. It still took them months to kind of figure it out. Well, you shouldn't have been under the gun to get it done, Deborah, because no one is really... It's not something that's important for the future, as we know it just now, the DCEU. We don't think that this is going to be a reboot. I'm hoping it's going to be a reboot for the DCEU. This will spark off a new era of storytelling with Zack at the helm. But as we know just now, it isn't. This is just a little throw him the bone, let him finish his vision, shut up the fans on social media. So there shouldn't have been any real pressure to get this done. There shouldn't have been deadlines. It's hitting HBO Max. I understand they're trying to grow that streaming service out. There shouldn't have been any pressure. But look, man, I find this very interesting, because the likes of John Campia on YouTube a couple of years ago were putting forward that idea of a sort of... I can't recall what they were calling it. I want to say a mechanical cut, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was like a bare bones version of this movie. They were putting forth that notion that the studio would appease Zack, they would appease the fan base by just putting out the movie as it was. Green screen, sort of bolts and nuts and all. And I wasn't for that. I'm firmly with Zack Snyder. If you're going to do something, you do it right. You get it out there. And the way that it would have been consumed as a finished product for the theatres, like Whedon's bastardised version, you get it out there, fully completed, and then you let people experience it. They can make their minds up, and then, as I keep saying, man, it puts the studio in a position, if they like the response, and by all accounts they're enjoying the buzz this movie's getting, they're enjoying the buzz that Jared Leto's Joker's getting, it puts them in the position where, if it's a real success, it eclipses Joss Whedon's version. Well, we can move forward with that. That's the canon. And the likes of Ben Affleck are in position again to play the character. Jared's back in the good books. He can play the character. So this was wrong from the get-go. I would not have wanted to have seen this bolts and nuts stripped back version. It would have been interesting, as I'm going to get into later in the show. Marvel are doing a behind the scenes thing for their TV shows and movies. It's going to be hitting Disney Plus, a TV series, and it's something that's interesting to see as a fly in the wall, how they put these things together, how the process of making big blockbuster movies sort of ticks along. That is interesting to watch from a documentary perspective, but not as a complete movie. It'd be shit, 4 hours of them just walking around in green screens and shit like that. Crap, don't want to see it. And I'm glad Zack put his foot down. He still had some semblance of authority. And they greenlit it, man. And they greenlit it the way it was supposed to have been consumed. But look, let's move on.